You're probably thinking, when's he going to do a review on James Bond? However, it's October, and this movie's been 3 years in the making, and now that COVID has finally let it happen, we finally got to see this new film. I'm talking about Halloween Kills. Jamie Lee Curtis and the rest of the cast returned for this sequel to Halloween 2018. Not only did Jamie Lee Curtis and the rest of the cast return for the sequel to Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, the creative team came back as well. The director of Halloween 2018, David Gordon Green, also returned to write and direct the sequel, Halloween Kills. He also brought with him his writing partner, actor Danny McBride. Also, John Carpenter came back to produce and also write the music for the film. And we're also getting characters from the franchise from the previous 1978 film. The character of Tommy Doyle returns to the Halloween franchise, but this time around he's being played by actor Anthony Michael Hall. Lindsay Wallace returns to the Halloween franchise and also being played by the original actress Kylie Richards. There are a few more surprises in there, but I won't go into spoilers, so just go see the movie. Halloween Kills picks up moments right where the last film left off. Laurie left Michael trapped in the basement in a burning house, left for dead, while her granddaughter, and her daughter run away for safety. While Laurie and her family are on their way to the hospital, Michael makes his great escape and leaving behind him a trail of bodies. While the Strode family is at the Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, traumatized, beaten, and scared, they're also under the impression that Michael is finally dead. However, he's not. He's leaving bodies all over town because he's making his way to finally go home. He's been trying to go home since 1978. Authorities are now discovering that Michael isn't dead because they're seeing a bunch of dead bodies all over town. They realize that they have to stop him and try to figure out where he's going next. However, Tommy Doyle and the rest of the town decide to take the law into their own hands and create a mob to try to hunt Michael down. And they coin the phrase, "Evil dies tonight," and you will hear this phrase over and over again until you want to throw up. Very similar to the Halloween 2 from 1980, Laurie spends much of her time in the hospital bed while Michael is literally killing everybody around her and she has no clue that it's happening. I'll be very honest, I really like this movie. I mean, this movie's not perfect in any way. However, this movie was very entertaining. There is not a dull moment at all in this film. Before going into this movie, you should know you should not be expecting anything deep and meaningful. This movie definitely feels like a second act to a third act movie. And with a title like Halloween Kills, what do you expect? There's a lot of similarities between Halloween 2 and Halloween Kills because Jamie Lee Curtis, as Laurie Strode, is in the hospital most of the time in the movie, and she's in the hospital bed recovering while all this carnage is going on outside the hospital and Michael is doing his thing and she has no clue what's going on. Tommy Doyle returns to this franchise. However, this time around he's being played by not Paul Rudd, but this time he's being played by actor Anthony Michael Hall. And I really enjoyed his performance in the film for the most part. I did like how he was scarred. However, at the same time, he was like, it's done. However, I want to acknowledge that if it wasn't for my babysitter, Laurie Strode, I wouldn't be here today. I did like how his character was like, okay, you know what? If Michael Myers is here and he's out and about right now, I'm going to go kick his ass, and I'm going to get the whole town around us to kick his ass. That's kind of where I liked him the most. However, that's kind of where it stopped for me, because once he started going into that whole mob mentality, that's when I kind of was like, man, I was really feeling for this character until that kind of nonsense started picking up in the movie. There is a really good touching moment with him and Jamie Lee Curtis when Tommy goes to the hospital to visit Laurie. They do have like a good moment together where he kind of says to her, hey, you know, he's out there. You protected me when I was a kid. I'm going to go do the same for you right now. It was a really good touchy moment because it felt very believable. Kylie Richards returns as Lindsay Wallace in this film and is obviously played by the same actress, and she does a very good part. I was actually at the same time, I was like, oh man, I really hope they don't kill her off because she played a very convincing part, and she was one of the characters in this movie that I really liked. I was really kind of rooting for her in this film. There are some really good moments in the film when there isn't someone dying and getting murdered. There's a really touching moment and kind of actually more of a sad moment, I would say, because there's a scene where Laurie's recovering in the hospital room and Karen had just learned that Michael is still alive. And when she walks into the room, you can see the look of happiness on Laurie's face. She's like, we finally got him. we did it, and her character finally smiles, because in the previous 2018 film, her character did not smile really at all in the film. She was very, like, frowning and always upset. And when we finally get to see her smile, you're like, ooh, she's going to be very disappointed. There are moments of flashback scenes in this movie from 1978. We get to see what happens after Dr. Loomis shot Michael and where he got up and walked to. And I thought those scenes were very good. I was almost like, ooh, they can't mess that up, because if they mess it up, the whole movie will fall apart. They did a really good job of recreating Haddonfield, because the original Haddonfield was shot in South Pasadena, California, and I believe this film was shot in Carolina. And they just did a really good job of capturing the tones as far as like the blue lighting and the grain. And even they did a really good job of recreating the 1978 mask. So the whole scene was like, ooh, I'm watching a reenactment of 1978. This movie was exactly what I wanted it to be and what I expected it to be, because I knew it was just a second chapter of a trilogy. So I was like, okay, this is going to be probably where the most action is going to be taking place. Michael's just going to be knocking people down left and right. And that's what I was kind of looking forward to, because I was like, I want to see that. Since we didn't really see that in the 2018 film as much. Overall, I really liked the movie. As far as things I did not like, whereas the phrase of "evil dies tonight" is literally repeated way too much in the movie. I was almost kind of like, okay, I get it. Some of the dialogue that people were saying were almost like taglines for like a movie poster. I was like, everything sounds like a big tagline for like an action movie. Whatever, it was fine. It didn't bother me. Didn't take me out of the movie at all. Something that Halloween Kills doesn't do that Halloween 2018 kind of did. However, the only ones that seem to have done it were the original Halloween and the original Halloween 2, were the lack of POV shots, and I wanted to see more of Michael stalking, more of scenes where he's like hiding, then he appears, then he disappears. I wanted to see a lot more of that. However, there's a scene in the movie where these characters are on a playground, they're on the swings, and they keep saying like, oh, there's a man, with the white mask playing hide and go seek. He comes out and he disappears, reappears. I was almost like, I wish they would have shown that as opposed to telling me that. Watching this film in the theater was definitely an experience, because it was one of few films where all the seats were filled except for the front row, which where I was sitting. This felt like a big epic movie. I almost thought, like, is the Avengers playing today in this theater or something? Because people were literally walking in the theater with their entire family, 4 or 5 kids, and I was like, whoa, someone even walked in the theater holding a dog in a crate, and I was like, wow, Alhambra, all right. But no, this was a big experience, and to actually hear like the crowd and the audience be like, ooh, and it's been a long time since I've watched a horror movie in the theater where I've actually heard the crowd do that. When I saw *Malignant*, theater was quiet. I heard all the groans after I walked outside the theater. I enjoyed it very much. That was a big part of the experience, and I'm glad I got to see it in the theater. Speaking of similarities, Halloween Kills has a very similar Rotten Tomatoes score like Halloween 2 from 1980, and it's just weird because Halloween 2 is such a classic, yet it has such a low score. Halloween 2 follows a 1978 film moments after the first one just happened. All the camera angles are relatively the same. The musical score is intense, and if anything is different from the original film is the gore factor. This film, the gore factor is definitely up there. There's no stalking moments like I mentioned before. However, this is still a fun and entertaining movie. I'm glad I got to see this movie in the theater because the experience was fun and enjoyable. I felt like I was watching a big epic movie. And also because the last previous horror movies I saw in the theater weren't very good. I'm going to give Halloween Kills a B-. Hopefully you like what you see here. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm Mike the Movie Misfit. I'll see you at the movies.
Get more out of life. Go out to a movie.